Hello everyone. Today we're going to work on the slicer. Now the slicer is really very helpful. Let's go to the insert button or ribbon. Come over to the right hand side. You can see slicer. It's right within the filters box. Slicer allows you to filter data visually. You don't have to go through and click on any drop downs and make your choices. All you have to do is click on a button. Slicers make it faster and easier to filter tables, pivot tables, pivot charts, and other cube functions. Now, we're not going to get into cube functions, but I'll show you it with a table, pivot chart. So here I have a table, entirely fictitious. None of these names or amounts are real. I'm going to come in here. First thing you need to do is if your data isn't currently in a table or a pivot table or a pivot chart, you have to put it in that or this isn't going to work. It'll tell you no connections. So once I do that, make sure that I'm in the insert menu or ribbon. I would have clicked within my table and I will choose the slicer. Now the slicer knows that I have these headings. I have claim ID, provider, data service, charge amount, status. I'm going to choose provider and status. Now, if I wanted to know any particular monies, I wouldn't put that in the slicer because the slicer is going to show all the amounts. I'll show you. Click on charge amount. We'll add that, make it a slicer. And as you can see, it's showing all the different charges. Now, if there's more than one of any, of course, that won't show, but still, this is a lot of stuff to filter, so it really wouldn't be helpful for us. So I'm going to cut that guy out, come back up to the slicer, and I'm going to choose provider and status. I want to know which provider has claims that are possibly in review, paid, pending, or whatever the case might be. So I'll click on OK. It develops two slicers, and you can see it makes it pretty easy. It gives you the choices that you can select. Now up top, you're going to see this first little button. It's multi-select. If you click that, let's say you wanted to see everything on Dr. Lee and Dr. Patel. Multi-select. There's Lee. There's Patel. Let's make sure they're showing in our data. I'm only seeing Patel. I'm not seeing Lee. There he is. And now with the status, maybe I want to see everything that's still in review on both of them. There you go. Super easy. If I want to take this filter off, I just click here. It's off. Click here. This guy's off. Now maybe I want to see Dr. Smith. I want to see everything that's been paid. Super, super easy way to filter data in a table, but it has to be in a table. And when you want to bring up the slicer, you have to make sure that an active cell is chosen within the table or it won't see it. I'll show you that right now so you can believe me. We'll delete out these two. Oops, so I'm going to have to put back my table to where it was. And let me show you. I'll click outside the table. Let's say I came here, I clicked there, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready. Where's my slicer? Click on slicer. No connections found. No connections, no connections. Go under data model. Nope. I'm here. It's not going to work. So you have to be selected within the table. And as you use the slicer, if it gives you too many choices to filter, then do like I did here. I didn't necessarily use the charge amount, but it wouldn't be difficult. Let me show you a visual of this. If I go provider and I go status, I want to know how much money Dr. Lee brought in on all of his paid items. Here's Dr. Lee. Let's go to paid. All I would have to do is come down here to the actual charge amount, go to formulas, auto sum it. And we know Dr. Lee brought in just shy of $1,200 on his paid claims. Okay, so as you look at this, if you need to change things, you can. Now for this one, I will remove it, and we will move on to pivot tables and pivot charts. Now I'm using the same bit of information for the pivot table and pivot chart. So everything's going to look similar, it's just in a different format. Here's your pivot table, pivot chart, and it still works here too. As with the table, you still need to be active within your pivot table or your pivot chart. Come up to the insert menu, go back to slicer, and I'm going to do the same exact thing here. I'm going to choose provider and status. It gives me a couple of slicers. That there. Maybe move my chart over just a wee bit. Now we can do the exact same here. I want to see Dr. Lee, and I want to see everything that's been paid. And as I made those changes that reflected within the pivot table, they also showed up in the pivot chart. Because the pivot table and pivot chart are linked. You make any changes within the pivot table, it's going to show in the pivot chart. The only difference is if you make a pivot table and you have your data set and you use something or change something within your data set, that won't be automatically seen in your pivot table. You have to refresh some settings for it to show up. So let's go ahead and take this off, take that off. So this is quite handy because you can make a dashboard meaning tables and charts that your managers or supervisors can look at, but maybe they're not really into Excel like they should be. You can put some slicers out so they can say, okay, what did Dr. Patel do, or what's pending on him? And then you can see how much is pending. So that does conclude this little video. We just used a very simple slicer to show how you can quickly, and I mean quickly, filter data. But the main things to remember is it has to be within a table, a pivot table, or a pivot chart. And in order to use the slicer, you have to have a cell or an item active within that item in order for it to see the connection. Well, I want to thank you for being part of this video. And if you liked it, please like it. Or if you want to, feel free to subscribe to see what else I can come up with. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.